May 29th, 1453. By the time the sun rises over the Bosphorus that morning, one of the greatest cities the world has ever seen will be gone. Not destroyed, not abandoned, taken. In a single day, after 55 days of siege and over 1,000 years of history. Constantinople, capital of the Byzantine Empire, the last living heir to Rome, a city of churches, scholars, merchants, and soldiers, standing at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, between the ancient world and the modern one. And today, using advanced AI techniques, we are bringing it back. Old engravings, faded illustrations, medieval maps. We've taken everything that survived and reconstructed what this city actually looked like. Its streets, its walls, its harbor, right before it all changed forever. Stay with me, because what happened here in 1453 is not just a history lesson. It's a story about the gap between power and survival, about a city that held on for centuries against impossible odds, and the one morning it couldn't.
Welcome. My name is Alejandro, and if you've never been here before, this is what we do. We take what history left behind and we make it visible again. Today, we're going to 1453, to the last days of a city that changed the world by falling. Let's go.
To understand what is lost on May 29th, you first have to understand what Constantinople actually was. The city is founded in 330 AD by the Roman Emperor Constantine the Great, built on a triangular peninsula jutting into the water, surrounded on 3 sides by sea, and protected on the 4th by the most sophisticated defensive walls ever constructed. Walls so well engineered, they will still be standing in the 21st century. At its peak in the 500s, Constantinople is home to roughly 500,000 people. It is the largest city in the Western world. The streets are alive with Greek scholars, Armenian merchants, Venetian traders, Jewish jewelers, and monks who have walked from as far as Egypt. 15 languages are spoken within its walls on any given day. The centerpiece of it all is Hagia Sophia, the Church of Holy Wisdom, a cathedral so enormous and so geometrically daring that architects still argue about how it was built. Its dome appears to those standing beneath it to float. People genuinely believe it is suspended from heaven by a golden chain. For centuries, this city is the engine of civilization. When the Western Roman Empire collapses in 476 AD and Europe descends into what historians call the Dark Ages, Constantinople keeps the lights on. Greek philosophy, Roman law, mathematics, medical texts, art, all of it preserved here, copied, studied, and passed on. But by the time we reach 1453, the city is a shadow of what it once was. 1,000 years of war, plague, and political self-destruction have reduced the Byzantine Empire to almost nothing. By 1453, it no longer controls an empire in any meaningful sense. It controls Constantinople, and barely. The population that once stood at 500,000 is now somewhere between 40,000 and 50,000 people. Whole neighborhoods within the walls have been abandoned. Farmland grows where streets used to be. The grand forums are half empty. The treasury is drained. And perhaps most damaging of all, the city is politically alone. The Byzantine Emperor, Constantine XI Palaiologos, has spent years sending desperate letters to the kingdoms of Western Europe. He knows what is coming. The Ottoman Empire, young, powerful and expanding, has already surrounded Constantinople on every side. The city is an island in Ottoman territory. Constantine begs for soldiers, for ships, for money. He gets almost nothing. The Pope in Rome offers help, but only if the Greek Orthodox Church agrees to submit to Rome's authority. It's a condition that tears the city apart from within. Half the clergy would rather fall to the Ottomans than bow to Rome. One Byzantine official famously says he would rather see the Sultan's turban in Constantinople than the Pope's mitre. Venice sends 2 ships and 800 men. Genoa sends another ship. The Pope promises 5 armed vessels, but by the time they're ready, it's too late. In total, when the siege begins, Constantinople can muster fewer than 7,000 defenders. Some historians put it as low as 5,000 to defend 19 kilometers of wall. On the other side of those walls, a 21-year-old sultan is preparing to make history. Mehmed II has wanted Constantinople since he was a child. He studies maps of the city. He reads accounts of previous sieges, Arab armies, Viking raiders, crusaders, and learns from every one of their failures. When he comes to power in 1451, taking Constantinople is his first real goal. And he has something no previous attacker has ever had: cannons. And not just any cannons. A Hungarian engineer named Urban had approached Emperor Constantine first, offering to build him the most powerful artillery the world had ever seen. Constantine couldn't afford him. Mehmed could, and offered 4 times the asking price. The cannon Urban eventually builds for Mehmed is called the Basilica, or the Royal One. It's roughly 8 meters long. It fires stone balls more than half a meter in diameter. Just loading and firing it takes 2 hours, and it can be heard from miles away. Mehmed brings between 60,000 and 80,000 soldiers, a fleet of 320 ships, a train of artillery that takes dozens of oxen to move, and he constructs a fortress, Rumi Lisadi, at the narrowest point of the Bosphorus, cutting the city off from Black Sea supply routes before the siege even begins. By the time Constantine XI stands on his battlements on April 2, 1453, watching the Ottoman army approach the horizon, there is no relief force coming, no miracle on its way. Just 7,000 men, 19 kilometers of wall, and a cannon that can crack stone. The siege officially begins on April 6, 1453. Every morning, the Ottoman cannons open fire. The sound rolls across the water and into the city like thunder. The Theodosian walls, built in the 5th century and never successfully stormed, absorb hit after hit. They crack. Sections crumble, but they don't fall. Each night, the defenders do something remarkable. They go out into the darkness, dig through the rubble, and patch the breaches with barrels filled with earth, wooden stakes, and whatever materials they can find. By morning, the wall is patched again. The Ottomans fire. The wall cracks. The defenders patch it, over and over, for weeks. The man organizing the defense of the most vulnerable section of the walls is a Genoese military commander named Giovanni Giustiniani. He's not Byzantine. He came with his own men, his own armor, and his own reputation. And Constantine immediately puts him in charge of the Theodosian wall's weakest point, the gate of St. Romanos. Giustiniani is tough, experienced, and for weeks he is the reason the wall holds. Meanwhile, at sea, Mehmed's fleet can't get into the Golden Horn harbor. The Byzantines have stretched a massive iron chain across the mouth of the inlet, blocking entry. The chain holds. The harbor walls are safe. For now. Then, in mid-April, Mehmed does something that stuns the city. He has his ships dragged overland. Across a greased wooden track, over a hill, an entire fleet of 70 to 80 ships is physically carried into the Golden Horn, bypassing the chain entirely. The Byzantines wake up one morning to find Ottoman warships inside the harbor they thought was sealed. It's a logistical feat that was never forgotten. It still isn't. The city is now surrounded on every side. There is no escape route, no resupply. The walls are being hammered daily. The defenders are exhausted. And it's only been a month. By May 28th, 1453, the city knows the end is close. That evening, Emperor Constantine XI holds a final ceremony in Hagia Sophia. The cathedral is packed, Orthodox and Catholic Christians together, bitter rivals who have spent years arguing over theology, kneeling side by side. Constantine reportedly weeps during the service. He asks forgiveness from anyone he has wronged. After the ceremony, he rides through the city, saying farewell to the people. He sends a message to Mehmed offering terms, virtually anything short of surrender itself. Mehmed's reply is essentially, "Give me the city, or prepare for what comes next." That night, the Ottoman camp falls almost completely silent. Mehmed has ordered quiet, no drums, no fires, no movement. The silence is its own kind of terror. The defenders on the walls can hear almost nothing, and that makes the waiting worse. Inside the city, the streets are empty. People are in churches, or at home holding their families, or standing on the walls, staring into the dark. Just after midnight, the assault begins. Mehmed sends his forces in waves. The first wave, irregular troops, some there more as cannon fodder than as trained soldiers, hammers the walls and draws the defenders out. They hold. The second wave, Anatolian regulars, focuses on the Black Heron section of the wall in the northwest, an area partially damaged by cannon and structurally weaker than the ancient Theodosian sections. They break through briefly. The defenders push them back. Then comes the third wave, the Janissaries, Mehmed's elite, professional, heavily armored imperial infantry, the finest soldiers the Ottoman Empire has. They hit the gate of St. Romanos in full force. And then, something small, almost accidental, changes everything. Giovanni Giustiniani is wounded. Exactly how remains disputed, but a bolt or shot penetrates his armor. He is taken from the wall. Without him, his men begin to falter. And in the chaos, a small gate, the Cercaporta, a postern gate used for night sorties, is found unlocked. Maybe it was forgotten. Maybe the person who locked it is already dead. Nobody knows. Ottoman soldiers pour through the Cercaporta. They appear inside the walls. The defenders see them, and the realization spreads like fire. The city is breached. Constantine XI hears the news. He is said to have spoken 4 words: "The city is fallen." And then he throws off his imperial regalia, the purple cloak, the insignia of 1,000 years of emperors, and charges into the fighting as a common soldier, sword drawn. No crown, no title, just a man choosing how to die. His body is never found. The Ottoman troops enter Constantinople on the morning of May 29th, 1453. 3 days of looting follow, standard practice in medieval conquest, brutal by any measure. People are killed, enslaved, and displaced. Churches are ransacked. The city that has stood for over 1,000 years is torn through in 72 hours. Mehmed enters on horseback later that day. By most accounts, he is visibly moved by what he sees. He orders the killing to stop. He protects the major buildings. Hagia Sophia is converted into a mosque. The cross comes down, minarets eventually go up, but the structure itself is preserved. It stands to this day. You can visit it. Mehmed takes the title Kaiser-i-Rum, Caesar of Rome. He positions himself not as the destroyer of Rome, but as its heir. Constantinople becomes the new capital of the Ottoman Empire, later renamed Istanbul. The fall of Constantinople has consequences that ripple across the world for centuries. Greek scholars flee west, carrying ancient texts with them, manuscripts that help ignite the Italian Renaissance. The Ottoman control of eastern trade routes pushes European powers to find alternative paths to Asia, directly triggering the Age of Exploration. Columbus sails in 1492. Da Gama reaches India in 1498. The modern world, in part, is shaped by what happens on this Tuesday in May 1453. The city didn't disappear. It transformed. Istanbul is one of the great cities of the world today, and beneath its streets, inside its museums, carved into its walls and domes, Constantinople is still there. What happened in 1453 was an ending, but it was also a beginning. The story of this city doesn't stop, it shifts. And the fact that we can now take the engravings and illustrations that survived and reconstruct what these streets, these walls, and these people actually looked like, that feels important. Because history isn't just dates and names, it's places, it's faces. It's the smell of a harbor at dawn and the sound of a cannon at midnight. And it deserves to be seen. If you found this video worth your time, please like it and subscribe. It genuinely helps us keep making these reconstructions and telling these stories. We have more cities, more moments, and more lost worlds to bring back. We'll see you in the next one.